Alright, welcome back. And it's dawned on me, it's been a while since I gave you guys an update on the Phantom here. What I've been up to is ordering parts. To my surprise, everything, well, almost everything, cable damage, motor damage, obviously ESC damage, but for the most part, everything has survived fairly well. It did much better than I thought it did. For example, the GPS antenna under here. You can see I've already peeled this back and taken a closer look just to make sure. I was expecting to have to replace this actually. You can get the part from DJI for $5. It's a ceramic antenna, which makes it very fragile, especially when the Phantom is top heavy and usually falls on its head like that. It's an expected part to break during a crash, especially considering the height that it fell at. The GPS mechanism, probably the whole entire board and everything, I think sells for about $100 or something ridiculous. $5 from DJI plus shipping, and you can solder that on yourself. But I didn't have to because it survived. I plugged the controller in, I loaded the software. I was able to change the settings, check the calibration. I was able to update the firmware on everything. Even the gimbal got a firmware update. Very shocking how much actually survived this crash. Now for the bad news. These are, what are these, 2212 motors? They came on the original Phantom 2 2212 motors. These, not only are these hard to find, the props are actually hard to find, and the props are more expensive if you do find them. The Phantom 3 drives the 2312 motors, except the 2312 motors will only work with the ESC version 2.1, and yet the 2212 motors are pretty much dated. So are the props. They're very hard to find. I decided we're going to rebuild it, but we're going to rebuild it, and it's going to be a cross between a Phantom 2 and a Phantom 3. It's gonna we're gonna have to change a few more parts than I expected to. Honestly, invest a little bit more money, but I should have more thrust. I should have better power management out of it because of more energy efficiency. I should have a little bit more flight time out of it, and basically close to a Phantom 3 as far as flying performance wise. But I won't have the Wi-Fi, video, FPV feedback. But Chris was nice enough to throw in this Fat Shark transmitter here, and he also threw in this little high-tech screen that came with this high-tech racing drone. So I mean, I have some sort of FPV now. I just need some way to know what the battery's sitting at while it's in the air. Make sure I'm not experiencing any errors on battery drain, over current drain, anything like that. Make sure the compass is running right. Make sure GPS is staying locked and everything else. So here's what I did. As far as broken cables and stuff, I searched eBay until I found people selling little parts. Little parts, when I say little parts, I mean we already have, obviously it came with a low pass filter here for the gimbal. What I did is I found somebody else on eBay that was selling the low pass filter, and with his low pass filter he had another cable. Okay, well, I only needed the cable, so I took the cable, we put that cable in there, and we actually now have a cable going to the low pass filter and a cable going from the low pass filter to the actual gimbal. Great. And we got a motor falling, so that's good. I needed another cable. Actually, there was another cable that was broken. I can't remember what it was for. It's in here somewhere. Oh, here it is. This guy's broken here. This actually runs to the CAN bus. But here's this on-screen display board I found somebody selling with a bunch of cables really cheap on eBay. Again, just used parts. People don't want it anymore. So do I need the actual board? No. But what that came with is this cable, and this cable will be able to replace this broken cable here. So we can actually just take this off. Again, it was only a few dollars. Shop around, find the right parts once you identify what's needed. And then I found somebody that I wasn't originally going to put the CAN bus on, but I found somebody that was actually selling the C-Bus really cheap. Okay, well, it did technically get shot off during Chris's video, so it should technically be put back. And so we grabbed that as well. So I'll have to strap that back on once I get the new frame. So we got that. Some other cables. Now I got some spare cables, I guess, laid around as well. I decided for monitoring GPS, compass, voltage level on the battery, I found DJI's on-screen IOSD Mini, and this actually goes with the CAN bus. We'll take it. Why not? That was actually a fairly cheap cost as well, and this guy was actually nice enough to send this. It was also an eBay used deal. He sent this little instruction packet in a nice little piece of plastic. Just really done up. I mean, much more than I expected. I like it. Never bought something used from eBay where somebody took so much attention to detail to send out printed instructions. I know he found them somewhere else on the internet, but still, I mean, it was shocking. It was surprising. So I did some rewiring here a little bit. We have some of these are capped off. I got these capped off, so nothing shorts out here, nothing shorts out here. So I got this far, so now I can test and see if I have a GPS lock, which I do. I took it outside. I won't get a GPS inside. I can actually wire this into the fast shark and everything. But before we go adding complications to it, troubleshooting number one, basically test what you have first. Before we go adding things to it, let's set the mini display aside. Let's just test what we have. What we have is, well, we have this, and we need to test it. We do have a bad motor, by the way. I do want to point this out. This is why I actually have this one unscrewed. This one was sounding really iffy. What I discovered is when I took it apart, in fact, let's go ahead and show you. Careful not to lose that C-clip. And then there's this little brass bushing in here. There we go. So when the piece of lead came up and hit this and took the CAN bus off right here, shattered this arm, obviously. It reflected over to here. You can see this big gash in this arm right here, and the side of this motor took so much impact that it actually damaged this motor. Just the motor. The ESC seems fine from what I can tell. So when pulling it apart and looking at it, everything here looks good. The bearings actually spin fairly well. I checked that. And then the obvious jumped out in front of me. There it is. Don't know if you can see that. These are supposed to be sort of perfectly spaced magnets. That's not perfectly spaced. In fact, that's horribly spaced. So how many loose magnets do we have here? We have, well, here's one for sure. We can drop that magnet down. There's two loose magnets. I think I got up to 3 and I said, okay, this motor shot. I mean, yeah, I could start maybe taking some CA glue, maybe not. Might be able to get it to glue in and stay in place. Or the first time I have a hard landing, the motor's going to mess up. Or it may mess up in air if the CA glue heats up and breaks free. So we have 2 earth magnets already missing, or already knocked out of place. Take that back. We have 3. This one's loose. If I can get my needles in there. Trying to grab magnets with metal pliers. Genius, huh? 4 it really looks like this whole one side of the motor got hit really hard. So right there we have 4 magnets missing. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we may even have some more that are loose in here. Let's check. I'm surprised that one stayed glued right in the middle. That's got a big chunk of glue on it. Whoop. Make that 6 all together. That one's loose. And that one's loose. So this whole entire inside of this motor, the one side of it, must have been hit so hard that it knocked the glue free of all these magnets here. So at this point, old motors, repairable, fixable, possibly, CA glue maybe, chance of failure while mid-flight, higher probability, worth the risk, not really. Back to eBay we went. Yes, I happened to find somebody selling a set of 2312 motors. Not only that, but they come pre-wired with the cables and everything with the version 2.1 ESCs. Instead of selling his Phantom 3, it was actually going to make more profit if he parted them out. So that's exactly what he did. He parted them out, and for a very good price, because he put it up for a bid and nobody else wanted them, and I took it for a very good price. Actually, I think, what was it, $55, $60? Very good price for one ESC from DJI. One 2.1 ESC sells for $20 plus tax and shipping. The motor, I'm not sure what the motor sells for, but right there, $20, $40, $60, $80. So I got the ESCs and the motors with hardly any use on them, and he was nice enough to throw in these 3D printed caps for the motors too. I decided, yeah, these are cheaper to get the props for. These are better motors. They're lower sitting profile. They have a higher thrust rate. The props are actually better rated that run on this. Completely different motors though. We're going to just remove the old ESCs off of this when we got to remove the whole entire main board out of this and put it into the new case. So the only thing I'm waiting on right now is the new case. Once I receive the new case, we should be good. As a matter of fact, because the new motors, the way the props go on and off, kind of use this little tool. I didn't have this little tool to hold the motor still while I locked the props on and off. 3D printed it with a nice piece of foam padding in there that actually holds it. Really good. I like it. So we bought that as well. We got the controller, and we had the Fast Track FPV that Chris gave us, and we got this, but we need some way to hold this to the controller. So this little kit here, also found on eBay. I'll have to mount this in later. Once it's done, it'll go here in some fashion, sort of like that. But anyway, it's going to hold the screen on the controller, so that way we can watch what's going on. And let's see, what else did we get? Oh yes, the gimbal shock lock. The little plastic pieces that hold the these little balls in place here. These all snapped off. So we got a new kit of these. Even decided to go with a new set of these as well. And we managed to score a really fairly cheap set of props that will fit the new 2312 motors. Now, I know some of you are thinking cheap props, well, that just means it's going to be off balance. Well, there's a very good possibility of that. But that's okay, because I have this Dubro balancer here that we can even check these cheap props. And I even have the post that we can use for the props for the Phantom. So we'll check it with that. I use this balancer for other things as well. I'll make sure they're sanded down and balanced perfectly before any test flight. And once we know it's up and running okay, I was curious, and since I found them so cheap, I was curious to see how much difference a cheap set of carbon fiber props would make on a Phantom 2 / Phantom 3. Because right now, you know, I'm running a Phantom 2 with Phantom 3 motors and Phantom 3 ESCs. That's basically what it's going to come down to in the end. One thing I'm waiting for is the frame. Once I get the frame, we can start unsoldering these guys. We'll unsolder the old motors, we'll pull out the old board, and we'll start putting everything into the new frame. Now, it's not worth putting everything into the new frame unless we know it actually works. Oh, by the way, this is the rest of the piece here. Now this probably makes much more sense for this. Yeah, I would say it probably makes a lot more sense now. Now that's how it holds the screen. In fact, you know what? Let's just go ahead and do this. Why not? Let's put this on now. With the OSD module, I should be able to see my battery, my compass, my GPS, and everything. And this will display the video through the Fast Shark, over the gimbal, through the GoPro. Let's turn it on. See if I can just kind of set that up there. There we go. Turn my camera on. Now, I do believe that the gimbal may have taken some damage on, and this is where I'm not sure. It may have taken some damage on, it may have to do with the soft balancing, it may be bent, it may just need a very good IMU calibration, which I'm not going to bother doing until I put it into a new frame, because I'm going to be calibrating the whole entire IMU. So, no sense of doing that until we put it in the whole frame. But you can see here, let me adjust this up a little. It's not perfectly level with the table, but as far as the function of the gimbal, it does what it's supposed to do. I mean, it could be fixed post-editing if I needed to. I'm actually just surprised the gimbal works. I really am. So we have our full operation here. Up and down control. And we also have our little bit left and right. So that's working as well. You guys see the actual screen. We have our Fast Shark working. It survived. Some of the wires came out. I had to resolder them. Not a big deal. Let me see, how did the OSD hook up? Maybe we can do a quick look at this guy's instructions here. I mean, besides obviously the CAN bus needs to go on. That's the broken cable. Here it is, CAN bus. Video in, video out. So what do I got on my video out here? This is running brown and orange down to brown and orange, which is going to ground and video out. So video out is orange. Okay, we can do that. Let's see, video out was orange. Ground is brown. Ground is brown. Volt ground. This would be video in. So video out from here would be video in from here, because this is taking video from the CAN bus, which is coming from the gimbal, from the GoPro. Yep, that should be right. Cross your fingers. Alright, and on this side, we're going to have to give it a signal. So I believe this green, if I'm not mistaken. So we got 3 wires running here, but only 2 are connected. Again, goes to yellow. Yellow is our video in. Yellow is our orange, which means it's this one. So, if all is good here, when I power pack on, we should have an on-screen display. Showing me everything except for the compass, because the compass isn't hooked up. And there it is. Voltage 12.2 volts at 88%. Seems we have our compass here, but at least we have some kind of confirmation here now that we actually do have compass, before I spend all the time unsoldering these wires and soldering up the new motors and everything and putting it into the new frame. So I like having this confirmation. We can try to give it a GPS, why not? I don't see no harm in that, right? So there's ADI mode and there's GPS, and I can tell, well, not like it's plainly written right there. I knew where I was anyway, but it also displays here, so if I ever do get a pair of Fast Shark goggles that actually work, I'll know. We have an active GPS. Not a lot. Of course, I'm indoors. I'm nowhere near a window, so that doesn't surprise me. Is it enough for home lock? No. I think once it obtains home lock, though, and it gets the proper amount of GPSs, it actually stops blinking. There is one little side note I do want to make. I did not order exactly the correct frame or a DJI frame for the Phantom 3. What I ended up buying was or Phantom 2. I ended up buying a Phantom 3 Vision frame, which the gimbal holes, as far as mounting the H3 3D, the gimbal holes should line up fine, but it's designed for a completely different gimbal that DJI made for that Phantom and most Phantoms going forward. There is one modification I will most likely have to make, and I did this to save money because I think the cheapest I could find it was maybe $55, $65. Okay, $60 for a set of motors and ESCs, that's one thing. $60 for a piece of plastic frame with some lens covers for some LEDs. That seemed a little high to me. So in the long run, the gimbal, the motors, everything should be the same as far as the holes and everything for the main board. Everything should be the same. But you see here where there's this hole cut out for this H3 3D gimbal for that motor to come through the top. I don't think the Vision has that hole cut out, but I still think it has the support structure in it. So it was intended to be there, but then they just decided not to do it. I believe I should be able to take the Vision frame that I bought for half the price and just cut a hole there, and the holes for mounting the gimbal should line up just perfect, and everything should pretty much remain the same. That's the plan. So stay tuned, and hopefully we'll finish this up and get this thing flying. As soon as I get the frame in, we'll finish up the work and take flight with it. And then after that, well, I think I decided to sell it. We're not going to keep the Phantom after I fix it up. It's going to be a cross between a Phantom 2 and a Phantom 3. It's going to have better lift, it's going to have better power, it's going to have better motors than the Phantom 2 than Chris was flying previously. After we fix it, we take it for a few test flights. I think I'm just going to end up selling it until we receive the little plastic frame for this, so I can finish putting this together. And then take this up for a flight and then see how it handles, and then we can call this project done. And let's see, anything else I want to say? Nope, that's pretty much it. So again, thanks for watching. If you don't subscribe, don't forget to hit that subscribe button down below, and that little bell there will tell you when I make a new video and it comes out, because I know I don't do it often enough, but I have other stuff going on. I try to do a video when I can, and there are just some days I just don't feel like doing a video. That's actually wrong. I shouldn't say that. There are days I can't physically do a video. That's being honest with myself. But on the other hand, let me tell you, these things are addictive too. Don't forget to support your local spinners. No, I'm totally kidding. No, actually, not really. They are addictive. This is the GoPro 5, by the way. My last video, I think, said, do I get rid of the Canon? Do I go with the GoPro? What do you think of it? You know, this is the final new setup. This is what I'm doing here. I mean, the focus seems to be good no matter where I go with it. This is the new way of doing things. Let's see here. Ready? Oh, hello. Ow. Alright. So yeah, go ahead and hit the little bell to remind you when I release new videos in the future, and as always, keep on tinkering. And thanks for watching.